Welcome to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and we're going to start off this episode of Fantasy News by saying shame to Gizmo.com for recently putting up both of these headlines with no additional news or merit behind what they're writing. It's purely clickbait to try and get fans excited to view their website, look at their ads, and get them revenue. Shame! I've definitely made mistakes in the past, I've apologized for them, but this is clear, just wow, trying to get clicks bad. Anyway, jumping off from there, let's go ahead and jump into the first story of the day, which is rather exciting board game news for the Stormlight Archive. Now note, this is not a brand new original game for the Stormlight Archive, rather a reskinning of an existing game from Brotherwise Games. And it's a game that's originally called A Call to Adventure, which has actually even been reskinned for a fantasy series before with an aversion for specifically the Name of the Wind. Now we have a whole new reset, like original core game box coming out for the Stormlight Archive, which as far as I'm aware is the first time it's happened for this game. There's just going to be the base game, which is just the standard regular reskinned Stormlight Archive of A Call to Adventure, which will be available for $39.95, and then a deluxe edition, which will include a premium bookshelf ready box, 2 foil alternate art cards, and an exclusive 48-page art book called A World Hopper's Guide to Roshar, and that will be for $44.95. For that slight price increase, that's a whole lot of extra stuff. Like I think I'd be willing to do that. That's not that great of a price increase right there, so I'm down. And it'll actually be available for pre-order today. It's there for you to grab right now. Go check it on out. I do want to specify this is a card-based board game, so those of you who may not have a preference for card games might be a bit turned off by this, but I've actually heard really good things towards Call to Adventure before, and actually let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see me review fantasy-based board games on the channel. I'm a very big board game fan. One of my saddest memories from high school is when I had to sell a bunch of my board games for gas money. That sucks. Still have not fully recouped my collection from that. But hey, this could be a fun addition, and I'll definitely check it on out, because I'm pre-ordering the deluxe edition probably. I need to treat myself for the move. I need something that's like just a little splurge gift right now for myself. Now let's just go ahead and flop on over to the Wheel of Time news. We had Zoe Robbins in an interview where she talked about the fact that she's enjoyed playing the character of Nynaeve. It was a good little interview in itself, and that she's back home in New Zealand now, waiting for everything to clear on up before getting back to filming, which we don't have a confirmed date yet specifically for the Wheel of Time. The biggest takeaway though from this interview is that we are still unsure of when the Wheel of Time show will be released. She did say originally it was supposed to be 2021, but she's unsure if that date will still be the case. I would think it wouldn't be delayed so much. We'd have to wait till 2022. My gut feeling is just now later 2021. So we're probably gonna have a bit of delay. I seriously doubt it'll be early 2021, but mid to late still seems very realistic to me. Now we're gonna take a little bit of a step away, just a smidge from the hardcore fantasy news, to talk about the fact that some fantasy adaptations have already been given the green light to resume filming rather soon. This includes the Avatar sequel, which apparently will resume filming just next week in New Zealand, and the Lord of the Rings show is rumored to begin filming again as early as August in New Zealand. So good job there. Congratulations to those shows. New Zealand seems to be recovering quite well from what's going on in the world, but I hope to see other countries that are on the mend also open up to production as safely as they can, and only if they feel it is okay to do so, rather soon. Now, of course, we're going to dive straight back into that hardcore fantasy news for a cover reveal for the upcoming book release, The Mask of Mirrors. This has been described as Nadezra is a city of dark intrigue and glimmering magic, a place where Skorza can read your fate in the face of a pattern card, and creatures of shadow and claw can devour your nightmares. In Nezra, a mask can hide the face of a beautiful con artist, a daring vigilante, a charming criminal, or something far more sinister. And this stunning book cover definitely captures that vibe. Now, this is an upcoming release from the author M.A. Carrick, which is actually a combination of 2 different authors working under a pseudonym, similar to The Expanse, Leviathan Wakes, Caliban's War, that whole shebang. Now, these 2 authors are Marie Brennan and Alec Helms. So credit to them. I also just like seeing authors collab. It always is something I want to see happen more and more. Like, could we get Stephen King and George R. R. Martin to collab? I'd pay for that. Joe Abercrombie and Sanderson, could we do that? Maybe, I don't know, but it's cool seeing these ones go ahead and joining that trend of collaborating. I mean, we already have one masterpiece that has come out in recent years from a collaboration such as this with Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, Good Omens. Hot damn, that was a good book. So yeah, let's get more of these happening. And look at this cover. That is a nice cover. Apparently it was designed by an artist named Lauren Pinapinto, and after looking at her work, she's damn talented. That's an artist right there. Maybe almost up to par with my Dresden sketches. Are you a fan of the Burning series? How about the Chronicles of the Bitch Queen? I'm sorry, that's the name of I gotta say, it's the name of the series, sorry. Well, those two authors, Evan Winter and K.S. Veloso, will be having a live Q&A today. Yes, the day releasing this episode of Fantasy News at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you would like to go ahead and sign up for this live Q&A hosted by Orbit, link, of course, as everything I'm talking about here today in the description down below. Now let's go ahead and jump out to the broader spectrum of fantasy entertainment news, starting with an interesting new fantasy project that is in the works. Peter Dinklage and Jason Momoa are teaming up for The Good, the Bad, and the Undead. Peter Dinklage will be playing Van Helsing, the last in a long line of vampire hunters, as Jason Momoa plays a vampire himself he works with, who has sworn off killing forever. Except the twist here is that they're working together in a not so clean and squeaky fashion. Yes, they're going town to town running a scam where Van Helsing vanquishes his friend for money. How devious, how dastardly, how wrong. I like this. I like the idea of Peter Dinklage and Jason Momoa working together as a fake vampire hunter and a vampire who are running a con on people. Like, that's kind of hilarious. And unlike a lot of fantasy things that are in the works right now, this is not based off a previously existing comic, book, nothing. It's an original idea from the creator, and I just, for some reason, enjoy that while we're in the, landscape of adaptations and things like that. It's just cool to have one that's, original idea from a person specifically made for this medium. And in the only fantasy news rumor we're going to be covering here today, the Metroid Prime trilogy coming to the Nintendo Switch Echoes are back, and this trilogy would include Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, and Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Now, the origin of this rumor is coming from the same people who kicked off these rumors a few months ago, and we have seen bits of pieces that corroborate a potential release for Metroid on the Switch coming down the road. The biggest thing, though, right now is on inet.com. We are seeing some product promo photos for a Metroid Switch game up, and they're still up. They're not being taken down. Now take that as you will, especially because the art being used for this post on inet.com is very much so placeholder, not original Metroid art for like a new release in any way, shape, or form. Take this as being completely unrelated to the Metroid 4 release date, which we know for sure is coming just after Nintendo said, hey, we still need to work on the game and we're delaying it. So Metroid 4 is for sure coming to the Switch. This rumor focuses around the original trilogy getting some form of release for the Switch, and there's been all kinds of stuff corroborating and dismissing these rumors. So, this could be like the Zack Snyder Cut, where in between me recording this and releasing it tomorrow morning, something is announced and put out, so check for yourself. But as of right now, it's just a kind of credible rumor. But before we get into the rest of the news, let's go ahead and throw it over for Green Daniel to see the weather over there in the MCU. Wow. Next news. Now, in just a piece of quickie news that warmed my heart a little bit, The Dragon Prince has been nominated for an Emmy, specifically for Outstanding Children's Animated Series. Good job, The Dragon Prince. You earned it. You're a good show. I like you. I gave you a bit of a mixed review, but I think overall, yeah, in terms of kids' entertainment, damn fine, and a nice successor to the Avatar show itself. Congratulations. Next news. We got an exclusive first look over at Vanity Fair of the upcoming The Stand adaptation helmed by director Josh Boone. So pumped for this. I love seeing a die-hard Stephen King fan be in charge of adapting one of his properties. It's just a good sign to me. I keep being reminded just how incredible the cast is for this adaptation. It's very impressive. The Stand deserves a proper, masterful adaptation, and the one that exists currently is not that. Rob Lowe's The Stand was interesting to watch. Let's hope this new one is a more true-to-form, kingly adaptation. Next news. We got a trailer for The Old Guard, an adaptation of a comic book by the same name starring Charlize Theron. You know it's a fantasy sci-fi adaptation because this shot's in the trailer. And that's a Fellowship shot if I've ever seen one. Now, in news I almost covered in the last episode of Fantasy News, and if I had been, I would have been one of the first people to break it, but I didn't believe it. I was like, nah, this is just rumors, it's not real. But then everyone started covering it, turned out to be real. Damn it! The Snyder Cut is being released to Hbomax, and very smart move by Hbomax. Makes total sense for them. We'll definitely get a ton of subscribers who will subscribe just to watch this movie, forget about the subscription, and continue to pay you for months and months and months. You'll make a bunch of money that way. Good job, Hbomax. But also, congratulations to Zack Snyder and the cast, which have been pulling for this version of the film to be released for a long, long time. Although we still need to wait a good bit for this cut to be released, because apparently the post-production is not complete, and it's rumored to be around 4 hours. So Zack Snyder is getting together his original post-production crew, including the people behind the score, to then finish his version of this movie. Man, I hope we get something that is actually great, but my gut says the best we can really hope for is something different, maybe good, but I'm pulling for you DC fans to get a proper Justice League movie, but I just have my doubts that this will live up to the hype, because the hype is insane. And now jumping into the final piece of fantasy news we're covering here today, and if I'm being honest, it's not entirely fantasy related, but it's something I want to rant about because I have a lot of thoughts and it just makes me mad. Disney Plus has been caught censoring its own content. Yes, they've been going through and editing out, or just flat out ugly blurring bits of cleavage and all that, and just come on. Unlike Netflix, which recently got crap for having an edited version of Back to the Future 2, which was actually not their fault, it was just the version they had the rights to from the people they purchased the film from, and that's actually since then been fixed. This is Disney just actively censoring pieces of the human body. And are we really in 2020 gonna act like a tiny bit of cleavage because a shirt is a little low cut is somehow going to irrevocably scar children? We have to go in and edit it. Oh my god, boobies! Just seriously, grow up. To me, it's more damaging to show kids like, oh no, the body has to be something that's wrong and can't be put to, this is horrible, oh my god. It's bad, it's dumb, it's bad, I hate it, and this is why I have actually not a lot of faith for Disney Plus ever growing out of what it specifically is now. It's also confusing though, because they have things like the Simpsons movie on there where you see like a child's penis, but okay. But like Disney Plus already is getting crap from people for like not doing the Lizzie McGuire adaptation they feel will actually do justice to the character, because they refuse to do something that's a real woman grown up in this world dealing with adult problems. And I'm sorry, Disney Plus, but you're proving the criticism that everyone's throwing at you. You will not be real full family content. Instead, you are just a censored, what feels like outdated form of children's content. Aside from a few exceptions, which are just a part of franchises, which if we're being honest, I actually think are only flying under this censoring radar is because they're part of these more huge, larger franchises, and Disney knows they would have even greater backlash if they censored out like some of the deaths from the Clone Wars animated series. Just in general, middle finger to you, Disney, for doing this. It's unnecessary, it's outdated, and it just feels demeaning to the female actresses who wore a shirt you deem as scandalous. I know, complete tangent, not exactly fantasy related, but I wanted to get my thoughts out on it because it really just bothered me. Come on, we've grown past this crap. But this has been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace.